Hi, my name is David Shapiro. I'm a San Diego-based criminal defense attorney who has extensive experience defending against violent crimes. Now, what exactly is a violent crime? Well, a violent crime could be a whole lot of things. It could be sexual assault cases. It could be assault and battery cases. It could be domestic violence. It could be murder. It could be rape. It could be a whole lot of those things. But what the common feature is on all those offenses is this. If you don't have a prior criminal history, the court and the prosecutor, in all likelihood, if they're going to make any type of favorable deal with you, they're going to want to see proof and indications to assure them that this is a one-time deal that will never happen again. Well, how do you do that? Well, you rely on the experience of your attorney who can advise you on what's in your best interest moving forward. If you have a substance abuse issue which is leading into these violent outbursts, then you want to get that remedied while the case is going on. You want to get in treatment to address the underlying issues. If you have an issue where you require mental health treatment, you want to get enrolled in a mental health program while the case is being litigated to assist, first and foremost, in getting yourself right, but also to give your attorney everything he or she needs to get you the best possible outcome. Then there's also the other factor of, well, a lot of times these district attorneys and judges, and rightfully so, will want to see some sort of a forensic psychological report. Now, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you mentally or physically or anything like that. All that means is it all goes to what I was talking about earlier, that idea that, hey, we want to make sure they're covering their bases, particularly as it relates to violent crime, to make sure that if something did in fact happen, that it's not going to happen again. The other factor, if you're accused of violent crime and you have a prior criminal history, there's going to come a time, whether it's under the 3-strike laws or what have you, where the prosecution and or the court are just going to throw up their hand and say, hey, enough is enough. This person's going to prison for a really long time. Violent crimes, for the most part, are strike felonies. And what a strike felony is either, quote unquote, a serious or, quote unquote, a violent felony in San Diego. Not all serious felonies are violent, but what they are is when you have a strike, it affects the fact, for sure, you have to go to state prison. If you go to state prison on a violent felony, you have to go for 85% of that sentence, whereas if it was a non-violent felony, it would be 50% of that sentence. And what it also does is affect punishment for future offenses. So you may be convicted of a violent offense now and pretty much get a slap on the wrist, but you also want to be mindful of, and more importantly, your attorney wants to be mindful of and have this idea when representing you of what your future may be like if you're convicted of a violent offense now. How that may close certain doors for you as far as work, school, professional employment, what have you, but also how it might affect future cases. If you get convicted of a violent offense now, and then you're charged with another violent offense in the future, your sentence can be doubled. They can add 5 years on top of it. It just goes on and on and on until you're looking at an absurd amount of time that you could be facing. Now, that's not to say that you don't want to go in there and resolve your case if charged for a violent crime for a plea bargain. Many times that's what's in your best interest, but sometimes it's not. And how do you make that decision? Well, you make that decision by leaning on the attorney you hire, who should have that experience to be able to tell you this is what's in your best interest, and this is what we want to accomplish, and lay out that blueprint for you and give you a laundry list of things to do to hopefully achieve your goals. I consider myself one of those attorneys. I've dealt with violent crimes for a long time. I've handled many, many violent crime offenses. I've taken those cases to trial, had a considerable amount of success defending against violent crimes. I hope you give my office a call at 619-295-3555.